lovely Saturday morning. Welcome to the program Politics Today on independent television and radio. From wherever you're watching or listening across the world, we thank you for keeping a date with us on the program. Well, this is the penultimate Saturday before the D-Day, which is February 16, 2019. That is the day we've all been looking forward to in the last 3.5 years. Now it's just around the corner. So today on the program, we'll be looking at expectations for Saturday's elections. We'll also be looking at expectations from all the respective stakeholders, INEC, the political parties, the candidates, the security agencies, and of course the electorate in terms of their participation towards ensuring a very successful 2019 election. I mean, there's really a whole lot of apprehension in the air. A whole lot of people are talking, people are making permutations and saying all kinds of things. But today on the show, we're going to dispel all of those fears. Our prayers is that the election will come and go. It will be free, fair, and credible. But most importantly, it will be peaceful without any loss of life. That's our prayer. Without any loss of property. That's also our prayer. But let's quickly welcome our panelists today on the program. You meet these guys anytime, any day. They give you in-depth analysis about the country, Nigeria. You definitely would appreciate the thoughts that they are sharing. Let me thank very especially Chief Barrister A.B. Thomas, a regular on the program. Chief, many thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me here.
We also have in our midst the only lady in our midst. I mean, we are very conscious of being gender balanced or gender representation on our panelists here on the program. Let me thank very especially Princess Rosemary Ogbeme. Of course, she's a journalist, a politician, public affairs commentator, and also a businesswoman. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers at home.
I'd like to thank very especially the global professor in our midst, the Dean Faculty of Arts, University of Benin, is also the university orator, a regular on this program. I would say one of the founding fathers of politics today. I'd like to thank very especially Professor Eddie Iragbe. Many thanks for joining us on the program.
Yeah, thank you, Sonny Duke. And of course, good morning to our listeners on radio and viewers on television.
Thank you very much. We also have with us the State Publicity Secretary of ADC. He's a banker and also a politician, former banker and economic development economist. I'd like to thank very especially Idehe Ebonyi. Many thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much, and nice for having me.
Okay, Prof, let me start with you right away because it's been a while. Yes. I mean, as a founding father on this program. Yes. And how you really know such people who have been here all the time, when you introduce them and they want to respond, they will greet the viewers on television, they will greet the listeners on the radio. Yeah. And that's the tradition. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Now, 2019 election. What are the issues that are really defining the response of the people to this election?
Quite interesting. And I think anyone that has been following closely the nature of the campaigns and electioneering that has been going on will clearly see certain items that the main contenders have been harping on. And again, we believe that incumbent, in a way, also defines the major issues that people must connect with. Number one, the question of the economy. That is, where are Nigerians today? How are they doing? What is the nature of employment or unemployment? What is the nature of prices of goods and services in the country? And all of that put together. So the survival of the people is a major issue that is being talked about. There is a question of security, because again, I'm saying that it looks like the incumbent president hardly set the tone on what issues we should be talking about. And to that extent, you find that how far have we fared in terms of the security of our nation, and then what are the alternatives that are available if we are not doing so well? Or if, on the other hand, there is the belief that they are doing well, and the next thing is to work for what you call the next level or a better coordination as far as that security element is concerned. It's another very major issue that has been on. And then the question of corruption. But what has become interesting is that if you come down closer to us here, you find that issues of constituency projects, what have you done? Issues of representation, because we must not forget that we are having two elections going on. One, the executive, then the other, the legislature. And the legislature at the national level for now. And of course, we know that one of the executive will be coming up, that is for governorship, that is 2nd of March. So at this level, people are asking, have you been in the National Assembly? How many bills did you get to pass? Okay, what did you do in terms of empowering your people, as it were? And that, as I was reflecting on that issue today, there is a new development in our political culture that seems to be emerging. And that is that ordinarily, in other climes, you would think that the legislators are supposed to go there, work for enactment of laws and things and all. But all of a sudden, if you follow the campaigns that are going on, even from those that are aspiring to go to the National Assembly and all, they are promising, like the executive, we are going to give you roads, we are going to empower you, many things of that nature. So we find that that is now also becoming an issue that is coming out or playing out at this particular time. So for me, 4 major items I will talk about. That is the security issue, the economy issue, then the question of corruption, and then when you come to the question of representation, unfortunately, we are not talking of which laws did you get them to enact, which is what ordinarily
at the legislative level, at the legislative level
exactly.
Now. Yeah.
Instead, it's more of what have I been able to bring to you, and you are promising along that one. So these are some of the issues that I think have been coming out.
All right, Rosemary, let me come to you, Princess Rosemary. In your opinion, what are the score points on these fronts that Prof highlighted that you think will influence the response of the electorates in this election?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. Nigeria is a people that over time we've come to be docile with, corruption and economic crisis and what have you, that has really, hindered the progress of our nation. Corruption didn't start today, economic crisis didn't start today. It's been there over time. However, I think what the people should be looking at and what is going to actually, decide a lot of the voting pattern of our people is how far we are fair in all of this work. And I think, to me, as a person, and from my point of view, where I'm coming from, I happen to be a stakeholder in the upstream of the oil and gas, and I know what used to be and what it is today. So for me, if I have to give my opinion, I believe that the people are going to really be looking at the fact that we have made a whole lot of positive progress in the area of corruption. Because we tend to underrate corruption when we talk about corruption. Because corruption is not just, it's not limited to when a man goes into a public office and, embezzles money as a politician, and then we head it out as corruption. Corruption involves a whole lot of things. And, for me in the oil and gas, where I was coming from before now, I know what it is. Even to get a permit assessed in this country, I know the process I have to go to. You go to an office, to go to a ministry today, you come ordinarily, they give you what you have to pay. Okay, they will give you 2 different accounts. Assuming you want to pay to DPR, they'll say, pay this 50,000 to this account, pay this 200,000 to this account. In just one ministry, you go around the whole, before you can access a permit in the upstream of the oil and gas, you will need to go around about more than 10 ministries. And you can imagine the payment you have to pay. Every time you come, you are going to be getting a different.
And so it gives us back. What's your take?
What is obtainable now is that when you don't even need to, in fact, all you need to do, you have to pay for your permit.
In this, what is public perception? Public perception rating, you're talking about fight against corruption.
You don't need to give money to people. You don't need to pay money to different accounts and all of that. Yes, remit. All you need to do is to go to the bank, get a receipt, and get your form filled, and you pay your money. Okay,
let me push it out. I'll come back to you. Chief, Yes, I saw the first comment she made, you looked at her like that. I wouldn't know if you were admiring her or what she was saying, whatever it is. But, Chief, yeah, 2019 is around the corner. I mean, it's already here, not around the corner anymore, because in the next few days, we'll go straight into the election. Public perception of performance and impact made, and what do you think will determine how the electorate respond? I mean, she's giving some thoughts along the line of the fight against corruption, particularly in the oil and gas industry where she's coming from. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are straight. My thoughts are with the majority of Nigerians. Most Nigerians are not interested in this fight against corruption. They are interested in their economic well-being. This election is going to be defined by people who will look at where were we 4 years ago, where were we 5 years ago, compared to the present day situation of Nigerians economically. They are going to look at anybody talking about corruption. They are going to ask you, is corruption going to bring food to my table to eat? How am I going to send my children to school? Have we done better than it was 5 years ago? So anybody going out to vote, I'm talking of majority of Nigerians I have discussed with, their perception is, look, we want to go there and see if this government has performed well to deserve our returning them back for another 4 years to the next level. Then what is the next level? Is that next level going to take us better or worse? So I see the election coming up now. It is more, particularly when the two principal candidates are from the same ethnic stock in Nigeria, the same religion basis, the same geographical area. So people are going to say, look, we want to know. It's not the two principal individuals per se. It is the economic situation that I, A.B. Thomas, I am finding myself now, compared to 5 years ago, that will determine where I will cast my vote. If you look at Edo State, for example, we don't have really much at stake. We're not going to have governorship election in next 2 weeks. So, if you talk of National Assembly, what people are going to ask, those who have been there, what impact
Have you made
in the past 4 years or 3.5 years? Okay. If you can point to SYZ projects that you have executed that ought to be done by the executive branch, people are going to say, well, this man deserves to go back for another 4 years. Okay. So those who are trying to go there now, we have a Herculean task, except where in your constituency there is no situation for it.
Okay, let me proceed there. If you just join us, it's Politics Today on Independent Television and Radio. Today on the program, it's our countdown to the 2019 general election, just a couple of days away. Last Saturday, before the elections proper. Let me come to Ebonyi Idehem. People have talked about the need for the respective stakeholders, particularly INEC and the security agencies to be above board for us to have a very successful election. Those who have had issues with their PVCs, from my investigation, many are finding it difficult to get their PVCs right now. Someone told me he misplaced his PVC and then he went to go and do the documentation to get it back, only for him to get to the INEC local government office, and he was told that because of the flood that ravaged INEC office in Benin, the computer that had all those data was affected. Does that suggest that INEC, for example, doesn't have a central database where all of this information is supposed to be uploaded? So I don't know what you make of this, particularly in line with the rules of stakeholders like INEC, security agencies, for us to have a very successful 2019 election.
Well, my humble opinion on this particular issue. It's very simple.
Wow.
Respect to the voter card question that we talked about. Well, there's no way that could be sorted out looking at the time frame when the flood went into their premises and all of that.
Okay.
The issue that I can't do that, but I'm not working in INEC, so I can't speak to that issue specifically. But looking at what you just said and what the panelists have spoken about, I'm looking at it from a holistic point of view. See, as Nigerians, we're always quick to forget events. In as much as the elections, what is trending now is going to be defined on corruption, the economy, and some other indices. Why look at it that before, from the very first day, we had a new government. What were the incidences that's taking place over time? We seem to forget about a lot of things. You see, for me as a person and as a Nigerian, I'm not here to speak on a party basis or a particular candidate or whatever. We have never been so divided. If you look at our constitution, written by us, so to say, there's a column where it says, we the people of Federal Republic of Nigeria, we've agreed that this is how our laws would be like.
Even though there are questions about that.
Yes, there are very pertinent questions about
Okay.
our constitution, because I think it's high time we do a constitutional review, which has always been on, and it never sees the light of day. There's what we call federal character. If you look at the process to an election, is very important, which I mentioned here the last time we had a conversation.
Okay.
Process to an election, all these service chiefs, they are skewed towards where? The north. People are now wondering, are we one Nigeria? That is there. That on its own gives people, Nigerians, do we really exist as, are we Nigerians? Why is it skewed towards one particular area? It now brings doubts in people's minds. Why is this like this? Why is that like this? An Igbo man needs to be there. The Chief Justice is because he's not from this geopolitical zone. That is why they are after him. Look at the way they quickly brought in another new CGN. Did they go through the NGC for approval? You see, then you now look at the headsman crisis in Benue State. The presidency sent the IG to go and stay in Benue State. Well, he got there. It was there they told him that the IG wasn't there, the former IG. And he now said, I'm just knowing. Those things that led, the judiciary was, they were raided, judges were raided. Those things that has been on before our elections. They now talk about the economy. What's our GDP as at a particular period of time from 2012 to 2015? You see, the major problem is that what I see in this whole thing is that Nigerians, there's a disconnect between our leaders, the political class, and Nigerians. And sorry to say, most Nigerians are very uneducated. It's a very big challenge. Because we shouldn't wait for when it comes to very close to election and us having issues. And also need to blame the media as well too. And there has to be an orientation going forward. From the very last day of every election, that is when the cycle of another election exercise starts again. Then you start looking at putting executives, National Assembly members on their toes.
Okay.
For me, as a National Assembly member or a senator, your job function is not for you to embark in projects. You're not a contractor. It shows that the institutions has failed.
Okay.
Us.
Okay. Let me pause you there, Prof. I'm itching to have you in here, particularly looking at the twin issues of INEC's expectations on INEC's performance, and then the security agencies. I mean, just taking a cue from what he said about security agencies being skewed to one particular geopolitical zones and all of those concerns, I want to know your thoughts.
Listening to my very respected co-panelists, and of course the discussions that have been going on almost everywhere, and where I've been privileged to give lectures and things, it is obvious that we can never all be on one point by way of consensus. We must all realize that we are talking about democracy. So your main man that you are standing for, rooting for, could be someone that for somebody else is not worthy of any support. Is the aggregate of the majority in terms of the provisions that we have that will ultimately determine who wins. What we must therefore realize first before we go into this election is that even though I might have my reservations about the performance of a government, you might find some that are celebrating that is the best that has ever happened to us. I wanted to lay that point first.
Okay.
So we must always bear in mind that even when we say, for example now, the question of the division in the country, that one sector or section might be feeling that is being neglected. If one is feeling neglected, there is another side that is feeling that is benefiting from the system. So the question is, when we go to the polls, who is going to have the majority by way of the provisions that we have in our constitution? But to the specific question you've asked of the security agencies, INEC and all, what we have been clamoring for, what the international community is talking about, and what true lovers of democracy are talking about, is that the electoral main participants, the officiating umpires, we call them that, which in this case happen to be the INEC. Then those that must create the conducive atmosphere for people to exercise their franchise and protect lives and properties, talking about the security agents and all. Then the party members themselves, that is the political parties, who are the ones that are to mobilize people to go there and exercise their franchise, and the people themselves that must vote. The major point is that everyone should carry out his responsibilities with a great sense of patriotism. And for those that are supposed to be impartial, they should be so impartial that it is seen and believed by all. And the call by people saying the security agents and all must perform their duties impartially is very, very important. Because if they don't do that, they could become agents of altering the entire process. Because in an atmosphere of intimidation, in an atmosphere of fear, and in an atmosphere of manipulation, you definitely cannot get free, fair, and credible elections. And that is why I think I'm in full support of the international community. It's not just Nigeria. That anywhere elections are to take place, electoral umpires, the security agents, as we see, must perform their duties as expected by minimum standards by the international community. So it is very, very unfortunate, for example, that the respected executive governor of Kaduna State, for example, will be threatening by way of, if it is a question like they try to clarify, that when we have elected somebody, you want to tell us it's not the person. Correct. But to say that you should not come and watch. Nigeria has been leading delegations to go and monitor other people's elections. So the call that we want to make today, as we get on down to next Saturday and subsequently, is like, I have been so excited about the level of mobilization that has been going on. And for you, you know, and myself, who are in social media, people will say, oh, look at the way Atiku has articulated the area in Adamawa. Then next you will say, oh, look at how Buhari has moved to the next level in Adamawa. And then, for all of that, for those of us that have even dabbled into local politics in university level, it's like, let us go to the ballot. It is not by it's not by the show.
Let's go to the field.
Let's go and get the result. And let it, at the end of the day, we are calling on the umpires, give us the true position of Nigeria.
Of the result of the election.
And we should be ready to accept it.
Okay, thank you very much. Shortly, our studio lines will be open so you can call and be part of the discussion. But that will be after the panelists have exhausted their points. Rosemary, let me come to you now.
Okay.
Let me come to you now, because we say in Nigeria, politics is everything, and everything is politics. Even though that's not what's obtainable in other climes, but that seems to be the Nigerian situation. You are convinced that this government has made impact in terms of affecting the lives of the people. You started with corruption. I wanted you to build on corruption, maybe highlight some of the areas that you think impact that is made that will influence the electorate to take decisions that will be in agreement with their expectations. I want to get your thoughts along those lines.
Yeah, I totally agree that this government has done well. We might not have gotten 100% from them as we all wish, but you know, we have to give them credit because they are looking at the situation, looking at our country and the way it is. We should know that for you to be able to rule and lead Nigeria to a prospective aspect where we are looking at, it's not easy. So because of that, I always give kudos to this government. Because again, when I talk about corruption, we see how many people is being jailed. We see a whole lot of cases. Yes, we might not have jailed so many people, but so far so good. People are being jailed. And we have seen where people are coming out to say, now I have been caught. Please, this is what I have taken. I am ready to return. And people are returning money. This, in the previous administration, we didn't see. We didn't see people being pursued for corruption. We didn't see them being jailed. We didn't even see them returning money. So we must give credit to this government. And when you talk about economy, depends on where you are also looking at it from. Again, as a woman, at the inception of this government, people were crying that everything was expensive. And then this government said, no, we have to stop setting goals for coming into this country. Otherwise, our economy will not be built. Goods like, commodities like rice, tomatoes, those things that we can easily produce in our country, pepper and all of that, were being imported from China, from Cotonou, from Cameroon. We were importing practically everything. But when this government came in, they banned 43 items, which those our consumables that we can produce easily. We are inclusive. And today, I can tell you for the past 1 year, you can use less than 1,000 naira to cook a befitting pot of stew for your family because tomatoes is cheap, pepper is cheap. These are the very things that keeps our home. Okay. Even if you say rice is expensive, is it as expensive as it used to be? And why is it still expensive? Because people are going into as at this year. It has been said that Nigeria is a leading producer of rice in the world today. One of the leading producers of rice today, which used not to be. And of course, if we all can go back to our farms and start to produce our gari, our pepper, our tomato, and our rice as it is now, as we can easily get cheap tomatoes and pepper from the market today, I believe our rice will go that low. All we need to do is to stop, bypassing government policy by making sure by way of smuggling or by bribery, in all means you bring in goods from import goods into the country that we are supposed to pay,
duties for. Yeah.
Produce and then it will help to balance our economy. Because I believe that if we are able to produce what we eat, this shout of there is hunger everywhere will be a thing of the past.
All right, Pastor Bithamus, you want to build on that?
I'm making this a campaign for I mean, Thomas, if it's tonight, I know it's going to come from your side. I think
because definitely,
yes.
I'm sorry,
yes,
Princess,
yes.
I can't agree with you because I am a lawyer.
Yes.
And when we talk about fight against corruption, we should be asking whether we should jettison our constitution, forget about rule of law, and take the rights of persons in the country in an attempt to fight corruption. Every government that comes into this country, right from 1960, has been talking of corruption. And if you permit me, please, let me borrow the words of Gowon, a former head of state. He said, when you come to government, you don't talk about corruption of the past. Go forward, look forward. What are the projects you want to do to enhance the lives of citizens? Stop pursuing people behind you. He even went on to use, those who know the Bible very well. He said, There was corruption in the Garden of Eden. And that has not stopped God from further creating human beings. He went on to say that even in his own government, people say he was corrupt. But the corruption of that time was all this corruption. Then Babangida came. Nigeria said he was corrupt. It didn't stop him from building Tomiland Bridge. Obasanjo and Murtala Mohammed built First Stack and did so many things. Even in National Stadium in Lagos. These are projects we are seeing till today. The legacies they left behind. Then if you talk about Obasanjo again, when he came back, we have seen GSM. You can sit down in your house and talk to your mother in your village. These are the legacies we are seeing. Jonathan came, he did his own bit. This TSM we're talking about, he brought it up. Jonathan also went on this BVM, he brought it up. All these are to help the economy of the country. This railway they are also thinking about today, they were the things Jonathan started. So if you are telling me you are fighting corruption, please sir, what have you done now to help the economy? Because if you ask Usain Bolt was not world champion in 100 meters simply because he was looking back. He was running and looking front. That's how Usain Bolt became world champion. So if you are now asking me that all you want to do is to run forward and be looking back, you will fall. So I want a situation where you see the British change their government. Yeah. It's for continuity. With your own innovation coming in to improve the lives of the citizens.
But if we don't look back, how can we make better projections?
Good. That is the history. History is the study of the past to know the present and prepare for the future. Yeah. But what future are you seeing here now?
Okay, let me pause it there. Yes.
Let me bring
Nigeria.
Not seeing anything.
To a great extent, I agree with Chief Barrister A.B. Shitu.
A.B. Thomas.
A.B. Thomas.
Yes, A.B. Thomas.
But, Madam, I beg to disagree. You see, basically, we must look at it from this angle in terms of the corruption that we're talking about. Corruption, yes. To be honest, yes. What this government did was to be able to kind of like, okay, this is what certain people are doing. They exposed them, while those in their own government were shielded. So basically, for me, give or take, they've not fared so well, to be honest. Then, if you now look at the economy, they did not manage it properly. When you talk about the rice thing, on telling you that I saw it that they said Nigeria has stopped importation of rice up to 97%. Well, that's on paper. But as an economist, you look at what figures. What is the price of rice 5 years ago, which was 9,000 naira a bag, and the price of rice
8,000
today? By the time you look at when you see stopped importation 97%, I just laugh. For me, I believe we should be thinking of building walls like what Trump is saying he has to do in Mexico, because our borders are very porous. And we all know, as Nigerians, we go to the market and we see this foreign rice. And these are the products we all buy. So let's stop deceiving ourselves. Government should be truthful, because we are the ones that will bear the brunt. We should be truthful to ourselves, because we are not, government is not alien. They are Nigerians like us. Yeah. This same rice that they're talking about, that is it an Abakaliki rice? These executives. We should be true to ourselves. We should stop coming here. People start coming and start telling lies to people. First and foremost, what is our GDP 4 or 5 years ago and now? You need to know all those indices. And secondly, our capital market. What is the value of our capital market 4 years ago and as at now? Investors.
Now is the best in the world.
No, it's not, madam. Please, please.
Let's not interject.
If you talk about your oil industry, I'll give it to you. I've been in banking industry for 16 years. So if I say, I speak with figures, I look at all the indices on a daily basis. Investors have left. What makes investors to leave? Well, they might say the factors are not there, but there are certain investors that are here. There's what we call FDI, foreign direct investment. They also invest. Look at the stock exchange. You see when they say they invest in Wanko. Wanko, people bought today, people sold today. Those are the things that you're looking at. Money's left this country. And once there's uncertainty in a country, no investor wants to come. If I, for example, I need to invest in agriculture and there's insecurity, I need to be very careful. And secondly, don't also forget that when this government started, they made shambles of our forex. We had 3 different exchange rates. As an investor, you don't know what exchange rate to be. Up till I speak, we still have different exchange rates. And up till as I speak today.
Okay.
So in that regard, how do you, when you see these things, what we are looking at as Nigerians, we are looking at party A, party B. It goes beyond party A.
Absolutely. Just in the verse to open the studio lines and take calls. Prof, I always bring you in here because I want to establish some things and then expand it. Saturday 16th will be an election day.
Yeah.
One major thing that has been of great concerns to people is the issue of vote buying.
Yeah.
And some say politicians are not spending money because many of them right now, they stockpiled money waiting for Saturday. And we know this has to do with our youth and the voting public. What are your thoughts?
Really listening to my compatriots and their disposition of these matters, I see some elements of theory and academic expositions and all, because that is connected with the issue of vote buying, for example. Because somebody who has done deep analysis of our economy, for example, and is conversant with the GDP growth and things and all, we expect that that person should already be convinced as to where he or she is going when it comes to voting day. But for it to not happen, that the incidents of vote buying, as we have seen before, can make somebody leave the line or the party he was going to vote for because of 3 or 4,000 naira or 5,000, it goes to show that the conviction is not really in place. And so I have tried to argue in some of my presentations that it's good on a moral basis to talk about there should be no vote buying, we should start losing sleep about them. But I've argued that from a historical perspective, it is that the vote buying that has been going on over the years, behind the scene, for the first time, is now being brought to the public to see.
Yeah.
Because we are all aware that before elections will take place, on Friday night, Thursday night, vehicles will be moving, money will be moving. Then the party leaders will get bags of rice, they will get salt, clothing, things at that time, which they will give to people before the voting day. And then you deploy funds, which you will share towards and not before the voting takes place. But what has manifested now, which is our cry, is that we are bringing it to the level where somebody is sitting there and then you are now say, I don't want to be cheated. Before I say I voted, give me my, there is a bargain that is, it's bad for our democracy. So that is why we must still talk about it.
Okay.
But for me, I believe that there are people that are convinced in their minds now where they stand. Die hard, I will say, that for them is next level, for others is articulated, for others is not too young to run kind of thing, because there are alternative candidates that are emerging in different fields. Yeah. But there are still those that are hoping that they will get something that day to take home after the election.
Okay.
But what is most important at the end of the day, because when you are talking of, if we are to do polling now, what are the things that we eventually, you ask somebody, Sonny Duke, what made you to vote for so party? Then you will now see the aggregate of the things that decided. Okay. For now, it is not so clear.
Until we get to the field.
Finally, on this submission, when I say finally, I'm not the one closing, I'm coming back, is that we must realize that there are sub-levels in governance. I read an analysis recently, which was pointing to the fact that it's not just Buhari alone, for example, or just Atiku alone that we will be looking at. What of their governors at the different state levels? Because they have machinery of mobilization as well. You have seen governors going out, for example, in our state, where our governor have been saying, I need your vote. I need you to give me candidates, people that can work with me. Then the people will now ask, how is our governor performing? Is he not good enough that we should now support him by supporting his people? Yeah. These are variables, so many, that will come into the election.
Okay, Rosemary, the question, the concern has been that, well, it does seem like under this present administration, the issue of vote buying has now become so obvious and so bigger. I don't know what your thoughts are along those lines.
I don't agree with you on that, because we were all here in 2015 in the last election, and we saw how vote buying, was all over the place in Nigeria. Vote buying is not peculiar to a particular political party. Let's be fair. Everybody is buying. Now, yeah, if there is vote buying, it is a event that is guilty to all. What I mean is that all political parties and even individuals are involved. Okay. There are ways of buying votes. Even if individuals on their own, without even involving the political party, they just want to make sure that his belief is what people should be seen as followed. They buy from their personal pocket or the party. So all of us are guilty of this. But the only thing, the way forward is that as a Nigerian, as a citizen to your country, you should know that your vote is your civic right. In fact, it's not just your civic right. It's your civic obligation that you own your nation. So instead of selling it, every time you sell it or where you sell it, know that you are doing yourself and your country and your unborn generation a disservice. And you are doing disservice to humanity. I think way forward we should, as much as possible, educate our environment, our masses. Because I know it's difficult because of what money can do to a man.
And to a lady too.
To everyone. What money can do for
the human beings.
Everyone.
So, as much as possible, we should learn. We should just try in our own world to educate our people.
So we should educate our people to vote right.
Vote by.
Okay, all right, Chief.
Yes, when you talk about corruption. When you were doing vote buying in the days of Action Group, in the days of MPN, it was the subtle way. It was analyzed just behind the scene. Behind the scene. You, Sonny Duke, will not take money to go and vote. Princess will not take money to go and vote. Prof will not. Neither will my brother there will take money to vote. And no human being will even approach a bit of us. Unless you want to go to jail. But why vote buying has become so popular that policemen will stand and they see people counting money, some taking change, is because people they've gone to poverty. Nigerians have been so pauperized. They have become so hungry that many of them who used to have conscience can no longer talk of conscience. Wait, the minimum wage they're talking about has not even been implemented, has it? Good. So people are earning 18,000 naira. A bag of rice is 18,000. How do you want him to not to see money and not take it? You need strong conviction. Nigerians have been, you see, when I say Nigerians, this morning I sat down in front of my house, knowing I'll be coming here, and I look at people in front of my house fetching water. I just shook my head. God, if I had to be in their shoes, can I carry buckets at this my age to look for water? These are serious issues we must look at.
So you're saying poverty is a major score?
Poverty, poverty of finance, poverty of education.
That's what we're talking about.
Poverty of your pocket, poverty of education. I've just mentioned you people here now. Can anybody come to me and say, Thomas, take 50 million, go and vote for party A? I may not have that money in my account, but when I look at your face, you run. In my community, we are staying within here. Right from 1999, when they come, I was not the chairman then. I became chairman in 2005. When you come and you bring rice, when I look at your face, you will go away. Okay.
All right.
So, so talking about poverty,
Yeah.
it is part of the corruption fight that has failed and has gone awry.
Okay, let me take a final point from Dinhe before we take our calls. Yeah.
With the issue of
Vote buying. Yeah.
I don't think we can educate our people on that.
We can't educate them.
We can't educate
So how do we eradicate it?
it has to be
INEC, for example, is saying that
INEC,
don't go to the polling
INEC,
centers
INEC,
with your phones.
INEC in the next election, they need to think without the box. They need to use technology. There's nowhere in America that they do vote buying, but they still conduct elections there. Why I said it's difficult for us to educate our people. I agree very much with my elder chief, A.B. Thomas here. You see, it's not rocket science, I keep saying it. There was an analysis that some million Nigerians have gone below extreme poverty, and that every minute 6 Nigerians join that 87 million Nigerians. As at the time that statistics was released, about 150 million Nigerians have gone into extreme poverty as we speak. Madam, you need to know, maybe we don't really come down to the...
Studio line is 052-290-573. That's our studio line. Please, that number, you'll be able to contribute to the
You
program.
work in the oil sector. So
No,
that-
just go on with the point. Go on with the point, yes.
So you need to understand how our people, you see, funny enough,
So you're saying that poverty is a contributing factor to
and
this vote buying.
this election and other elections that have been taking place in Nigeria is defined by 3 things: money, money, money.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Why? Because you see, because of my background, I've participated in elections, and as a state secretary of a political party, I was in a particular party before, so I know how.
Before you join another one. All right, hello. Just a moment. We have a call on the line. Hello, caller. Good morning. Yes, good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Tell us your name, where you're calling from. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, my name is Samadasu. I'm calling from Benin.
Mr. Amadasun, please go ahead.
Thank you. I want to contribute on the issue of vote buying.
Go ahead, please.
The issue of vote buying, to me, it is out of greed, we have patriotism, and we have lost our faith value. Not because people are hungry or because people are poor. A typical Benin man or a woman is a very proud person who will not sell her conscience or his conscience for anything. We have lost our values. We are no more patriotic. People are no more interested in the growth and development of Nigeria. And like I want to support that lady who said there is need for education of our people. We must remind our people, we must go back to our faith value that we used to enjoy those days. The time of Ali, people refuse. They made up their mind. They are going to take this man because he's a professor. Because we do this, we do that. And people went out and voted for him. That's why the fact the other group, they had money and they were willing to pay money. People were so patriotic that people were in a campaign for him, even when they are not a party member, they don't know him, but because they want growth and development.
Okay. Well, Mr. Madasun, we'll just pause you there now so that others can take the opportunity. Thank you. 052-290-573. That's our studio number.
I wasn't finished.
Yes, just,
You
you said money, money, money.
Yes, money, money.
Yeah.
We have to be realistic. You see, for me, when you go to, there are certain things that we're not getting right. And the citizenry, we're not taking elections very seriously. I'll tell you why. If you go to a particular polling unit, for example now, you see that the number of registered voters in a polling unit are up to about maybe 8,800.
On the day of the election, you just
On
have...
the day of the election,
Yeah.
you only see about 150, 120, 100
coming out to vote.
coming out to vote.
Yeah.
So people that are on the internet that are very educated, if you go to my own particular center, there are professors, there are businessmen in that area that live there. They don't come out to vote. The only people...
The more educated,
voter-
the more educated you are,
Voter
the less you vote.
Well, that's the subject matter for another day. That's the subject matter for another
Let me tell
day.
you something.
Yeah.
You find out that... I'm talking on practical terms. The woman that you see, that is the hawker, that carries kpekere on her head
She
on a
would.
daily basis, how much is the value of that kpekere on her tree? Not
it's
up
the one
to
that will-
500.
And why would she not be so easily tempted with money to vote? I get it, but let me take another call. Hold on, let me take another call. Hello, caller, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from? What's the name, where are you calling from? 052-290-573. If you're listening to us on radio or watching us on television, please dial that number right now and be part of the program Politics Today on independent television and radio. Yes, Idehem. Okay, Idehem, you actually anchored that point.
yes.
You've anchored that point.
So if you look, if you look at the statistics there, it's
Yeah.
those same people that would wait behind. And another problem we're also having is this.
Yeah.
If you look at, for instance, my area, Upper Mission, you have a lot of banks there. The person that is registering there as a banker, she comes to work very early in the morning. So on her lunch break, she quickly runs to a particular polling center to go and register.
Yeah.
Well, that
On the
person,
day of the election,
what
she
does
can't come
say?
back
She's at
there.
work.
Okay. All right, let's take a final word, Prof. Yes.
Yes, my take
In a
on
minute.
this- yeah, thank you.
In a minute.
Is that what we are hoping for as patriotic Nigerians
Yeah.
is that all these indicators that we have tried to raise now as the determinants of where people go or will likely go as far as voting is concerned, our major concern today as Nigerians should be, that is for me, that come February 16th, those Nigerians that have the PVCs that now go to exercise their franchise, for whatever reason that they have decided to vote for a candidate,
Yeah.
let it be that the verdict of the people is what we get.
Okay.
So whether on the part of INEC, the security, all these other processes we are discussing, we can discuss them post-election
Yeah.
about whether it's morally right to
not.
collect money
Yeah.
or not,
Yeah.
or whether people will vote, because all globally, it's not every person that registers
That
that
votes.
eventually goes to vote.
Yeah.
You may have motivation that will get you to come out. So my own take and hope is that one, people will come out and vote. Peace should prevail during the voting,
Yeah.
and then the officers, that is the INEC, that are supposed to carry out the elections, will also give us credible elections. And I appeal to the politicians, those that are active, seeking for power, that at the end of the day, they should respect the verdict of the people.
All right, Rosemary, in one word.
Yeah, you know, it's another 4 years that we are out here to vote again, and I would like to crave your indulgence to listen to your mind and look at the situation, because this government we have today is just about 3 years and 7 months, and we had another government of PDP that lasted for 16 years. It is only fair that we give this present administration a chance.
Okay,
because
all right. Good. All right.
it was really bad.
Chief Epi
and
Thomas.
now it's
Yeah.
getting better.
Nigerians, please come out en masse,
Yes.
go and vote. Your future is important to you.
Okay. Idehem.
Nigerians, those that are on the internet and have they shouldn't play their
Politics.
on the internet.
On the internet.
They should
Social
all
media.
come out en masse and vote for their choices.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen, for your time and the useful thoughts that you've expressed here. As we say, the thoughts, opinions expressed here, they are not of the station. They are entirely those of the people expressing them. In this case, our panelists here. But we thank them for helping us to shape the way you perceive the forthcoming election. It's our prayer that the election is peaceful, credible, is free, and is fair. As is always a tradition globally, we certainly will have international observers here to monitor the election. That is the standard. And like Prof said, we've had Nigerians, eminent Nigerians, going to other parts of the world to monitor elections. So what's wrong with having them here? The former Tanzanian president or so, Jakaya Kikwete, is leading the Commonwealth delegation to Nigeria to monitor the election. And the comments made by the governor of Kaduna State is of great concern to people. But let's hope that maybe it was being quoted out of context. But that's a matter for another day. We thank you for staying with us. That's our show today. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.